most organizations, one of my favorite kind of management gurus is Patrick Lencioni. He's written a lot of great little fable books. Actually, they're very easy to read. They usually illustrate 2 or 3 points. One was the 5 dysfunctions of a team, which I called him and said, "Can I steal this from you?" To which he said, "Absolutely, take it." So I guess it's not really stealing. But it talked about building a trust culture, an atmosphere of accountability, sometimes things that people struggle with. Speak to the idea of a company or an organization having a more trust-oriented culture and the importance of that.
Well, one other issue I want to just come back to about why people leave is that it takes a lot of emotional energy to leave a place. And so if you're in an unhealthy environment, you don't have a lot of emotional energy anyway. And if you're the type of person who likes structure and planning, to think about leaving where you are, finding another job, that whole transition just feels like a mountain to climb.
Yeah.
And it can leave you sort of stuck there. And that's where the support from the spouse can be really helpful. But the trust issue is huge because in our culture, trust is misunderstood. We sort of talk about it in all or nothing terms, that either I trust you or I don't. When in actuality, trust is very situation specific. Like, I plan to take Gary to the airport this afternoon, and he, I think, can trust me to do that, but he shouldn't trust me to do open heart surgery on him, right? Because
you're not that kind of doctor.
I'm not that kind of doctor, because I don't have that skill set.
Yes.
And so it's both situation specific as well as there's a concept of sort of the 3 C's of trust. One is competency. Do you have the skills and ability to do it? Second, are you consistent? Do you show up? Do quality work every time? You're available. And then character has to do with trust in the sense of, are you looking out for my interests as well as your own? And so it's sort of like a 3-legged stool that if you don't have those, it really becomes problematic. And so people don't just talk about, well, I don't trust Julia because, I don't like her, or, she lied to me one time or something like that. But it's really helpful to identify the specific areas and what you need to trust somebody, and for companies to think about that versus just they need to trust us. Unfortunately, a lot of people have grown up in situations where it's wise for them not to trust people because in their past relationships they've been taken advantage of, and so they've become suspicious or cautious. And so we have to learn how to build and rebuild trust.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's important. Let me ask you in this regard, I worked in the secular business space before coming to focus on the family many years ago. But, one of the things in Christian work, in Christian organizations, churches, nonprofits, it can be a little passive aggressive. What I mean by that is everybody's in the meeting saying, "Oh, yes, this is a great idea." Then they get in the hallway and say, "That is one of the dumbest ideas I've ever seen." And then they begin to work against that. So getting people on the same page, committed to something, really critical. But why in the Christian space, and I'm sure this is true for churches, when a decision is made, let's go. And then you get a lot of, I don't know how to say this politely, people that would stick something in your back, maybe.
I think a lot of that is because they often have not been a part of the decision.
Right.
The person is autocratic and they make this decision, pass it down, and everybody just walks out and then they start talking about it. Whereas if the leader would seek the input of the people that works under their supervision and get their ideas, now you've got the team together. Then the decision is made and they go out and they want to implement it because they were a part of making the decision.
No, that's really good. And churches can suffer from poor leadership. I mean, it sounds bad to talk about that, but I think it's true. It's what you found in your book, correct? You highlighted some nonprofit and church leadership that's some of the most egregious. Why are they the most egregious?
I think part of it is that as Christians, sometimes we confuse different ideas as one is right and one is wrong.
So a switch, black and white.
Yeah, versus that you have a different idea about how you think this should happen or the process. And so when we get into that right and wrong thinking, if you raise that, the other person receives it as you're saying, well, you're wrong and I'm right. And then you get into this tension. And we haven't really taught one another good models for thinking differently, and it's okay to be that way. And it's actually a strength. They find that when teams brainstorm and it allows different viewpoints, that they come out with a better solution.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Let me ask some specific stories that you mentioned in the book. One was about an out of control environment. I think it was about Lee, who worked as an administrative pastor under an egocentric, narcissistic leader.
Yeah,
that's how you
my
described. Yeah. The names have been changed.
Yes.
Not Lee. But describe that environment, and again, it's a Christian environment where these behaviors should be probably better under control, I would think.
Yeah, so it was in a relatively large church, 2,000 to 3,000 members for that community. It wasn't a huge community, and a growing church, and a very vivacious pastor, outgoing, very social, vision casting. And for whatever reason, the elders and the leadership had sort of decided that he was going to do his thing, and they were going to protect him from all the other aspects of the church life, as far as staff kinds of things in Sunday school and small groups and all that. And so there was an executive pastor, administrative pastor, Lee, who had that charge to do with that. And he was very tough, and his way was right, and he sort of ruled it with an iron fist. And you didn't disagree with him, well, you could, but you wouldn't be at the table next week. I mean, and it was sad in that, you know, with that kind of situation, you have a lot of people run through staff, and then you hear stories from different parts of the church, and the senior pastor really was sort of kept ignorant of a lot of that, and it was unfortunate that it continues as a church today, but you know, has had its struggles over time.
Yeah, I mean, and again, all do. And there is no perfection. We want to make sure we stress that again. But everybody could probably do better, and that makes the work environment much better. You also had a good story, I think, about a pastor who resigned rather than put his church through a split. Describe that environment, and a good choice, it sounded like, in the book, where the person chose to step down rather than create conflict.
Yeah, I think that was one where the pastor had come in and things were going quite well, but there were a few of the leaders, the lay leaders in the church, I don't know if they were deacons or whatever, and they didn't like the things that were happening, and so they were calling the church to have a vote on whether to keep the pastor or not, you know. And when it got to that juncture, he felt like the better thing for the church would be for him to resign rather than to have the church vote on whether he stays there or doesn't stay there, which to me was probably a wise decision on his part, you know.
But sure,
he was putting the ministry of the church above his own well-doing.
Yeah.
It seems to me, though, that the problem might have remained in the church despite him leaving.
The next pastor would probably have the same problem.
Yeah, there's certain dysfunctions that happen. We're talking about work and toxic workplaces with Dr. Gary Chapman and Dr. Paul White. This is Focus on the Family with Jim Daly. If you'd like to follow up, the book that really covers this so well is called Rising Above a Toxic Workplace, Taking Care of Yourself in an Unhealthy Environment. And stop by focusonthefamily.com/broadcast or give us a call for details. 800, the letter A, and the word family.
What are some of those positive attributes